Hello everyone, welcome to Vicar David's 60-second slot. Today I want to speak about someone very special, and this is Abbess Hilda of Whitby. Hilda of Whitby's feast day falls a few days ago on the 17th of November, in fact. And Hilda is remembered for various different reasons, four main reasons in fact. One is her writings, her poetry, her spiritual writings, which is still read today. And despite living in the 7th century, that's the 600s, Hilda was the head of the monastic and nuns' houses that centred around the present-day Whitby Abbey, which many of you I'm sure have visited. She wasn't alone as a woman in being the head of a series of monastic buildings, but she reminds us that the early church history wasn't just about men. What she's perhaps best known for is hosting and presiding over what was called the Synod of Whitby in 664 AD, which traditionally is seen as fixing the date of Easter as the Catholic date, establishing the Catholic Church and not the Celtic Church in Britain, but modern scholars say now it's much more really of a fusion. What I want to really talk about, though, is the fourth aspect of Hilda, and that is her ability to see the gift in other people, specifically of someone called Caedmon. Now, Caedmon is the first poet whose name we know in the English language, although his language is poetry. If we heard it read out today, we wouldn't understand it, or at least I wouldn't, or even reading it. But luckily we have people who can do that early, it's not even Anglo-Saxon, very early English. But Caedmon was the person whose job it was in the monastic buildings to look after the animals, the animal person who looks after the sheep, the horses, the cows, and as such was uneducated. And although he liked to listen to the nuns and the monks singing their chants in Latin, he always got back to the stables to sleep. But one night he had a dream in which he was given a vision of a great poem in the English vernacular tongue of the time, which is important. And when he awoke, he remembered it all. He took it to his foreman. Immediately he was taken to see Abbess Hilda, and she recognised a great gift that had been given to him in his dream and in himself of a great poet, because when she heard it, she saw what rich poetry it is, which indeed it is if we even read it in translation. But more than that, Hilda saw in Caedmon someone who had a great gift of being able to communicate in the vernacular. That's the language that was spoken by the ordinary people. And so she gave him a task of writing these poems and of going out telling people about God, telling people about Jesus in the language that they were used to listening and understanding, because like Caedmon, most people couldn't understand the Latin, and they through Caedmon heard the story and the message and the good news of Jesus in their own language. And that's the point, that Hilda saw the gift in Caedmon to communicate the love of God in a language that the people themselves could understand. Maybe that's a lesson for us now as the church after these unprecedented times, to learn again to speak the good news that we believe, but in the language that people understand. And by that, I don't mean just kind of a modern, bland English, let alone give up that wonderful, rich Jacobean language of the Book of Common Prayer, but rather in the way we do things, where we do things, the time we do things, and how we do things, to do those things in the ways that communicate directly in the vernacular of our own time, and maybe even part of that message itself, that what we talk about and how we act together as a church can change for the better as a result of these unprecedented times, this pandemic, as we learn again, like Caedmon, to speak with people in our own language and see, like Hilda, the gift that God has given to other people. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.